I attended 40 plus Tony Robbins events as one of his platinum partners. I spent over $85,000 a year on membership to be part of his program, and I don't regret it at all. A lot of people ask me, why did you do that? What was the return on investment? Could have got all these strategies for free off the internet, ChatGPT. But back in 2017, when I started doing this journey, and I followed him for 3 years around the world, you need to understand a little bit about my situation. And hopefully you can relate to this, because maybe you've been in the same situation too, or maybe you're in the same situation right now. But I was all alone by myself out here in Dubai. I kept having the same problems over and over again. I had my parents who taught me lots of great things, but I also picked up lots of bad things from them. The good comes with the bad. Very grateful to my parents, don't get me wrong. But then also I had my same school friends. I had this limited environment around me. But now, on my wall over there, I've got a picture of all of my mentors now. I have 8 mentors across business, health, finance, relationships. I've picked a role model in each area. Somebody that's going to inspire me to hit these heights that I know I can hit. Whereas before, I didn't have those role models around me. So if you ask, why did I do 40 plus Tony Robbins events? It's because I was all alone by myself out here. And I literally had to travel all the way across to America and follow Tony to Australia, Europe, Asia, other parts of America, and just get proximity around him and all of his members. In his community at the time, there's probably about 350 people in his Platinum Partnership community. Now there's about 600 as of today's date. So I feel quite blessed to be part of that group when there were 300 people. But there are so many amazing people in there. I met billionaires, real estate tycoons, online retailers, online coaches, online marketers. Think of every single industry. I met somebody who was buying rare comic books and selling them for like a fortune. You meet crypto, Bitcoin people, proper Wall Street investors. You just think every industry, there's somebody who's killed it, done amazing. And when you get all these people in a room, you see all the patterns. There's so much energy at these events that you get kind of addicted to it, because environment's super important. And Tony creates this amazing environment where you're doing loads of fun things, surrounded by amazing people. You're taking tons of action. The energy is really high. Everyone in that room has achieved a result, whether it's in their health, their business, their finance, their relationships. And therefore, there's so much expertise in that room. So add all those things up. Expertise, results, action, energy, amazing people, fun activities. Tony as a role model, we've all come there to follow him because he's just an incredibly balanced human being. And it's just like a really addictive environment, you know? And I just transformed by being around these people. Instead of going on a PC and just getting these strategies online, it's all about that experience. And you start to notice inside of you. I'll talk about my system later, whereby you can recreate this by yourself. If you see me now, compared to who I was back in 2017, shadow. I was a shadow of the person that I am now. Do you have to go do 40 plus Tony Robbins events? Can you just figure out a way to do this without spending so much time, so much money, traveling all around the world? Because not everyone has that luxury. How can you get all this energy, emotions, identities, these new beliefs without following Tony around the world? So this is where I came up with my framework. Okay, so we need to understand with Tony, you bring on all these people and stuff, and he studied human behavior for ages. Okay, and I've noticed a lot of patterns. I was really overwhelmed with how much content was given at me. And if I could turn back time, even if I hadn't learned any of the content, it still would have been worth it. All the money and time I put into it. Because it's just being around those people, that proximity. I've still got the same network now. My friends are completely different to who I used to spend time with before. I noticed a lot of patterns. Tony's very big on pattern recognition, and so much content was thrown at us. I was like, whoa. I hear a lot of people say I need to kind of take a step back, take a year out, implement all of this stuff. I don't want to do that. I'm very greedy. I want results instantaneously. I want to figure out a way to enjoy my life and implement all this stuff that I've done. And I came up with a system. So Tony talks a lot about incantations. If you've ever been to any of his events, watched any of his videos, he talks about incantations, which are kind of like mantras or affirmations. And he's got his own simple mantras and incantations, affirmations. But I came up with a system, I call it my A.E.R.O incantation system. It's a very methodical system. And I've taken all of Tony's kind of concepts and put it into this one system. So basically, you have to look at your chakras, okay? So your chakras are these points along your spine, these energy centers. There's one up here in your brain, one in your throat, in your heart, in your belly, in your groin, at the bottom of your spine. So there's all these areas, and there's different emotions and meanings that come from these areas. So for each one of these areas, I have a sentence. And there's different types of language in these sentences. There's nouns, adjectives, verbs, pronouns. So these satisfy all of your different needs, okay? He has a human kind of framework and then a spiritual framework. So his human frameworks, he has 3 of them that he repeats over and over again. The first one's called RPM, which is results, purpose, massive action. Next one is called state, story, strategy. And the third one is Focus-Language-Physiology. So 3 different frameworks. They might sound completely different, but they're actually the same thing. You just package them in different ways for different personalities, different types of people to understand. So I'm going to merge them for you into one so you understand the pattern here. RPM is results, purpose, massive action. So results is the physical, purpose is the emotional, and then massive action is taking action. So you've got the physical, the emotion, and the action. The next one, state, story, strategy. State's your physical state, story is your emotional story, and then strategy is the action that you're taking. See the pattern? It's something physical, something emotional, and some kind of action. Next one was focus, language, physiology. Physiology is your physical, language has to do all with your emotion and meaning, and then focus is like, where am I going to go? So again, you've got the physical, the emotional, and that action. So it's all the same pattern. And then I've been doing a lot of spirituality recently. You can see this is my guru, Her Holiness A.E.R.O. She's an enlightened master. And I've learned if you really want to transform inside of you, you need to spend time around enlightened masters. People who've done a lot of work on themselves and are really detached from their body, mind, and emotions. So they can come back into them straight away, but if they lose all their money or somebody's nasty to them, they're not thrown off by it. That's what Tony's very good at, coming up with these frameworks here. But basically, you need to understand there's your body, there's your thoughts and emotions. These are the 3 things. Those 3 frameworks I mentioned of Tony, those are the only 3 things that you need to know there. And in my incantations framework, I have a sentence in each area. To clarify the physical, we have nouns. Nouns clarify the physical. To get clear on the emotional, use adjectives. Then to get clear on the action, use verbs. And then the last one, pronouns, that's the spiritual part, okay? Let's focus on the nouns, adjectives, and verbs. So basically on these 8 areas I have along my spine, I have 8 sentences. I have 8 nouns, which are 8 things that I want, 8 emotions that I'm associating with those nouns, and then 8 verbs. That's it. That's my kind of vision. I have it up on a picture, I have it up on a spreadsheet on my computer, I give this to my clients too, and that's all we focus on. You close your eyes, do a lot of meditation, go inside, and get very clear on those 8 nouns, 8 adjectives, and 8 verbs. And that's your life there. The problem most people have is they haven't clarified that. They have those verbs, adjectives, and nouns going around in their head, but it's just random. Something you picked up from your parents, peers around you. Sometimes there can be really dark emotions, which lead to really bad actions. And these really limited nouns are things that you're attracting into your life. So you've got to rewrite that whole thing. So that's the human side I was talking about. The next part is the spiritual side. So Tony Robbins comes up with this 6 human needs framework, where he talks about contribution, growth, love, connection, significance, variety, and certainty. He's like, these are the 6 human needs I see in all human beings. And it's a beautiful system. But ask yourself, did Tony Robbins come up with this? He did not. You'll notice he's spent a lot of time with Oneness Academy. So he does a lot of spirituality. He used to be partnered with them. And if you look at all spiritual practices with my guru, Her Holiness A.E.R.O, Oneness Academy, other popular gurus like Sadhguru, Sri Sri, Ravi Shankar, they all talk about the chakras. The most popular chakra framework is a 7-point chakra framework. And Tony Robbins, with his 6 human needs, he's used the first 6 chakras. If you're familiar with chakras, and if you're watching my channel, you're into spirituality, so you should know a bit about this. The 7th chakra up here is always open. That's always open to source and energy coming in. Then the other 6 chakras, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going down there, those 6 chakras are where the 6 human needs are. Tony came up with a framework that contribution is your third eye, growth is in your throat, love connections in your heart, significance is in your belly, variety is in your groin, and then certainty is in your root chakra. This was a revelation for me when I started doing spirituality and the Tony Robbins stuff. So the whole point of doing these 40 plus Tony Robbins events and coming up with a system to do this by yourself is understanding the human part, which is physicality, emotions, and action, and then the spiritual part, which is those 6 human needs there. So once you kind of merge these together, so you understand these 6 human needs, I talk about this a bit later, it's all about the elements, earth, water, air, fire, space, and light. Those 6 elements merge with these 6 human needs. Once you understand that, and then you've got your human framework of physicality, emotions, and action, and you can kind of bridge them together, literally magic happens in your life. You start attracting everything that you want towards you. If you want to learn this pretty quickly, I've got my internal system, which is my A.E.R.O incantation system, and then my business system, which is my 7-figure simplifier framework. These are the only 2 systems that you need. The A.E.R.O is the spiritual part inside of you, and my 7-figure simplifier framework is for the external world. These are the 2 things that you need to master, your internal world and your external world. Okay, so if you look at my channel, I've got some other videos where I'll talk to you in detail about my A.E.R.O system, the internal system, and the external system, the 7-figure simplifier system. Please comment below if you've enjoyed this video, any takeaways that you've gotten from this. Please reach out to me if you've got any questions, and watch the other videos. Otherwise, what I'm talking about in this video will not make sense. Talk to you soon.